we're live.
What?
We are live now. Remember, in front of a whole bunch of people.
Yep, I just choked.
In front of all the PFM people too, so we always want to put best foot forward.
Chucky's watching.
Chucky!
So,
Hey, Andrew, what do you have to say to Chucky?
Don't speak potty mouth.
That's
Chucky.
mine. You're a snake.
Angela MacKenzie's watching. Kevin Hildebrandt's watching.
Angela.
And Chucky says, hi, all. And Kevin Hildebrand says, good evening.
Good evening, Kevin.
Sarah Dell says, hello, everyone.
Hey, Sarah.
And Barry Berwick is watching.
Barry Berwick.
Craig Cowan says, hey, good to see the crew this afternoon. And Chucky says, okay, I will try.
Actually, Barry, Caitlin has some good tips for you, because if you had one of these and that, you'd be able to hold on to your sheep a lot better while you're out there in the meadow.
Doug Carell says, hey, hello, guys and gals. Craig Callowin says, thanks for carrying my dog food for me. And I say, no problem.
Yes, well, thank you very much for giving William such a nice tip. That was very, very generous. Thank you very much.
Sheldon J. Kyriluk is watching.
Hey, Sheldon.
Clinton Tate says, hi, Dave, living in large flying J, Idaho Falls, ID, heading to California.
Nice.
I want to show something off real quick. This is my bridle. And nobody's gotten to see it yet because I took it right to the barn and started using it.
Now, you had a friend that handmade this bridle, eh?
Yes, her name is Haley. And on Facebook, she's Revenge Tack. Maybe we'll tag her when we edit the...
Oh, like people can order stuff
Yep, you
from
can order
her?
stuff from her.
From Revenge Tax. So that's a bridle, and that is a really, really nice bridle.
Yeah, she also made 2 halters for me. She made this one, which has a black and white braided noseband with white paracord. It's really nice, hasn't fallen apart. It doesn't sound like it's gonna fall, or like it doesn't feel like it's gonna fall apart or anything, so that's good. And she also made me this one. Keep in mind though, like I bought these.
Yes, both Molly and Bella are inside. Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, I bought both of these. This one also has braided noseband. Braided noseband halters, I believe, are $15 each. And my bridle was $35, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, but
Prices may have
is that
changed.
special prices for you, or is that for everybody?
I'm pretty sure those are the full prices.
And Craig is saying smile. You may want to thank Craig for making sure you were able on that Mexico trip. He was asking about you
Thank you,
today.
Craig.
Ken
Hey.
Hoffman is watching.
Hey Ken, how are you doing? And these bridles are neat, and it's nice for Caitlin to bring out these bridles and show them to you, because it can be confusing. I remember at first when Angie and I first got married, and we went to the hotel, and I told the hotel in Las Vegas, here's our wedding certificate, can you do anything special for us? And he says, well, I could give you the bridle. I said, no, I'll just hold her ears till she gets used to it.
Andre Duhan is watching. Marcel Neville is watching.
Moose on the loose. Say, Marcel.
Barry Berwick says, your wife needs to put one of those bull rings in your nose to keep you under control.
Yeah,
Shauna Gray
Bull
is
rings or
watching.
bridles?
Hey, Shauna.
And, that you read that one. Chucky says, hey kids, did you get your dad's lookalike, the horse? Kevin Hildebrand says, pretty cool stuff. Marcel Pineville says, has she been trying out on you? Doug Carell says, nice, Caitlin, very nice. Sheldon says, hey, Dave, is like to talk to you about the truck show. I'd like to do a truck up for it.
All right.
Craig Cowan says, anytime. Shauna Gray says, hey, family. Ken Hoffman says, very good, and you just had a storm go through. Lightning, bit of hail, no damage. Craig Cowan says, it only took one call too.
Nice, very nice. Yeah, she's also got, what are these, some leggings?
No, these are half chaps. They go over paddock boots, which is kind of like, they're riding boots that go over just your ankles. So then you put these on over top and they zip up from the top down. These are a more expensive pair because I've been riding for a lot longer, so we got a cheaper pair at first. But this is synthetic leather and suede for this. And then this is ventilation, so, because like you sweat a lot when you ride, because it's really hard to do. To keep up your pace and everything, you're working a lot, you're using a lot of your muscles. I'm definitely going to be sore tomorrow because I haven't ridden in a long time. So this ventilation really helps cool down your legs.
Yeah, Caitlin was out riding tonight. She's riding her favorite horse,
Well,
Chex.
I didn't get to ride her today because she got hurt. She got a cut on her leg by her knee just before her chestnut, which I'm not sure most people would know. But there's somebody on here with horses, I know that. But she got a huge gash there. So her legs are all wrapped up and she can't be ridden for maybe a week or 2 weeks.
So who did you ride today?
I rode Twister.
Oh,
The
Twister.
Old man.
Yeah. She also has a helmet, and she wears that helmet when she's riding English.
Any horse.
Well, when you're riding Western, you wanted to ride without a helmet.
Only when you're going on trails. Like if it's a trail ride and you're on a really well-broke horse, you shouldn't need a helmet. But if you're doing anything with Western, like if you're doing barrels, if you're doing pole bending, if you're doing anything Western, you should have a helmet on, or even if you're just practicing, you should have a helmet on no matter what time you ride, because you could fall off and you could really badly injure yourself, and the helmet will stop that from happening.
Stops you from being paraplegic or quadriplegic. And even with motorcycles, you know, folks, a lot of people will say, you know, okay, we're down in the States, helmets off. And when I was headed down to Minneapolis a year or so ago on my motorcycle, when we met up with a bunch of the people, they said helmets off. And I put my helmet, I said, no, I'm leaving my helmet on because it's hail and everything. And I'm glad I left my helmet on because my bike went down at 75 miles an hour. And it's a good thing I had a high quality helmet on. So a lot of people, you know, as you're getting baby boomers especially, you're thinking getting yourself some helmets, sort of motorcycles and that, make sure you get yourself a high quality helmet. You know, if you're going to spend a couple of $1,000 on a motorcycle, might as well spend a couple of $100 on a good helmet. Just don't go to Canadian Tire and spend $40 on a helmet. Get yourself a really good helmet. Make sure it's fitted to you properly, and therefore, heaven forbid you go down, and you could go down. I had a good friend the other day, been riding for years, and he went to turn a corner, some gravel caught him, and he went down. And he actually smacked his head, but he had a helmet. He hurt his arm. I should actually call him, see how he is. And so anybody can go down. And if you're Dave MacKenzie, I spend more time off my motorcycle than I did on my motorcycle. Actually, in front of these kids one day.
You fell off.
Yeah, I fell off my motorcycle. I tried to bring it down the gravel road, and it's 800 pounds. And they were following.
Red one?
Yeah, they were following behind me in the car, and I got caught by the gravel, got a wobble, and went down in front of all of them. So.
Also, my friend also makes things like this. This is a saddle charm in a cross that I put on either the front or the back of my saddle because I have a jumping saddle. So there's a little loop on the back of my saddle where I can put this on here. Well, it's not my jumping saddle, it's my riding coach's, but it's the one that fits me and I'm the only one that rides in it. Or you can also put this where your breast collar goes, that clip thing where your breast collar goes. And you just take this big loop, you put it through, and then you pull the cross through, like this, and then it's connected to your saddle. So that's also good.
And did your friend make that too?
Yeah, she hand makes everything, and then she sends it to you, and I believe you pay shipping, but I don't need shipping because I just get it in person. And she also made me this. She obviously didn't make the hoof pick, but she put all this stuff onto it, so it's easy to hang places so you won't lose it. So this is pretty good too.
And have you used the hoof bit?
This? Yeah.
Okay. You may want to tell people that don't have horses what a hoof bit pick is?
Well, you lift up your horse's feet like before you go riding, or even when you're like grooming them down. You'll lift up their feet and you'll pick out all the mud and rocks and stuff from inside their foot so that it's not uncomfortable and it's not battering their frog, which is a very sensitive part on the bottom of their foot. So it's good to keep that cleaned out. And I also have this hoof pick, which I ordered online, but I like it. It's cute. It has a little brush on it too, so that's good.
Okay. Sean Gray says, wish I could watch more, but have to run. Craig Cowan says, to clear the office. Steve Kaka's watching. Sarah Dell says,
Steve Kaka.
Steve Kaka is watching. Sarah Dell says, storming a prince in Prince Albert. Steve Kaka says, good evening, Dave and friends. Thomas Legal is watching.
Hey, L&J Radio, Liberty and Justice.
Kevin Hildebrand says, helmets saves lives. I'm still here because of helmets. Steve Kaka says, same here, Kevin. Marcel Veneville says, thought that was the pull cord to start the horse.
That's for sure.
Yeah, so Caitlin was out riding tonight. You may have seen the video of the little filly she's looking at right now. And she's going to go this weekend and check it out some more and check out the mama and throw a saddle on the mama and see how the mama is. And keep you up to date on anything to do with horses. Because the thing is if you, especially if you're a trucker, all you're seeing is trucks all day and trucking all day, shippers, receivers, everything to do with trucking. It's nice to throw some extra little things in, like horsing around like this. Right?
Craig Cowan says, it split on me. It only took one call from Angie to clear out the office.
Yes, that's right.
Shauna Gray said, I'm back, had to deal with some work things. Michael Cringe says, Miko Cringe says, excuse me, would you have a gray poop on? And Matthew Allen Van Holbeck says, he's watching.
All right.
Says he's watching.
And we're going to have to go and get some Great Poupon maybe tomorrow at the store and check it out and get some Great Poupon. The one of the other things we were going to talk about tonight too is tomorrow we're going to put up a whole bunch of shows that are coming up all in August, and we're going to let you know where they are and how to get to them and how great they are. We're also, the other thing I want to talk about once again tonight is our customs officers. First of all, a tip. I hope everybody has a dash cam, because a dash cam can save your license, because a dash cam tells one story, it's admissible in court, and it will save your butt for these idiots. And I can give you some stories about that, but going on to the dash cam, when you get to customs, either US or Canadian, please make sure to shut them off, because they get very, very upset if you got your dash cams on at the border, because there's no filming at the border, there's no cell phones at the border. Also, our customs officers, you may get the odd one, which is a pain in the butt, but the majority of them are pretty good guys and gals. And the thing is they're our first line of defense, either in Canada or US, to prevent terrorist actions and people that we don't want in our countries. A lot of the customs people have got a really bad rap in the last little bit and have been fake news. You know how we talk about Canadian Trucking Magazine, no drama, no hate page, and true news. Everything we do here is truth to the best of our abilities, and we don't do any fake news. Well, as Caitlin found out, when she went down to the Mexican border, she could go across back and forth as much as she wants, and with any Mexicans, legal Mexicans that she wanted, could go back and forth across the borders. The only ones that get arrested and get hacked at the border are the illegal Mexicans, right?
Yeah.
Because as you saw, all they did was they lined up with us, same as we did, to come across the U.S. border, and just no problem.
Yeah.
They show their papers, and their legal passports and that, and across they go. The ones that are getting hacked are the illegal ones, and there's so much fake news, and I'll tell you, the fake news really impact our customs officers. And in fact, maybe for the next little while, if you're going across Canadian or US border, once you're finished dealing with them, saying, you know what, thank you for your service. Thank you for the great job you do. Because the thing is they've been so blackballed in the news, they've been called Nazis. People have said that customs officers could not qualify as police officers, and that's why they become customs officers, where it's just the opposite, especially in the United States. In the United States, they have such high standards for Homeland Security officers, which are your immigrations officers and your blue uniform customs officers, that the majority of them are either former policemen or former military. And I'd like to say all of them, because I believe that that's the truth, that you have to have law enforcement or military experience to become a U.S. customs officer. So it's not that they can't be or qualify to be a police officer. They are higher qualified, and they're at the border. So right now, when you go through, after they're done, even if the person's a miserable bugger to you, because you get the odd miserable one, say thank you for your service. John, you want to say something?
Yes. Kevin Hildebrandt says, don't have anyone's, but I like horses. Just got my cowboy boots these days. Matthew Allen Van Olbeck says, hey brother. Marcel Vaneville says, Angie Cole in a bomb. Scare Craig.
Yeah.
I also
Craig
want to add in.
Cohen says, nope. She was going for supper without him.
Yeah.
Andrew Dewitt is watching.
It's Andrew Dyke.
Oh, Andrew Dyke is watching. Len MacKenzie is watching. Jim Bellwood is watching. Marcel Vaneville says, including calendar. Scott
Yes.
Perkins is watching. Kevin Hildebrandt says, I like custom officers way more than cops. Steve Kaka says,
Kaka.
always. Steve Kaka says, always do, Dave. Thank you for
Hashed brown.
Hashtag.
Brown.
Thank you for your service.
Miko
Miko.
Cringe is there in an earthquake.
Hold still, William. They said the camera's shaking.
Is there
Quickly, I
in
wanna-
an earthquake
And
there?
then Steve
The
says,
camera is shaking a lot. Steve.
That's because I was
Kaka,
trying to get your attention
How's your
to say all
horse
these.
doing, Caitlin?
how's your horse doing?
Well, I think there is a pretty good chance that we will get her. I'm super excited about that. And also on the topic of horses, because there's 2 comments about horses. I want to add in that you can't only get it in red and black, even though that's all I get. This was an accident. I ordered it in red and I got it in green, but like, it's fine. It's still a hoof pick. But all of my stuff is in red or red and black, and this is as close to red and black as I could get for a soft dandy, because those are my colors that I choose to make my tack match with, and it's all the same pattern. And I love getting it from Haley, who is Revenge Tack, because number 1, I trust her to get my stuff done on time and for a right amount of money. And she's close by, and it's very easy for me to order stuff from her and get it in. And she always makes sure that it fits the horse that you're ordering it for. So you can order it even if you're like, I think she only does Canada, but she might do United States. You'd have to ask her on Facebook.
Well, if they pay the shipping, I'm sure she will. What is
Yeah.
it? Revenge Tack?
Revenge Tack.
Revenge Tack.
Craig Cowan says, how we thank Dave and family for what they do for us almost every night. It's every night.
Oh, thank you very much, Craig. We appreciate that. It's our pleasure, our big Canadian Trucking Magazine family, and it's interesting. Her tack is red and black. the colors of Canadian Trucking Magazine, of course. And
that was completely by fluke. My favorite colors are red and black, so that's completely by fluke. I didn't even do that on purpose, I promise.
Black's a shade.
yeah. So thank you, Craig. We appreciate it because we like to entertain. You know, Canadian Trucking Magazine, the way it started, folks, some 9+ years ago now, is I was going to the truck stops, and all the magazines in the truck stops were either job posting magazines or very highly technically written. So that, I mean, it was small font, small print, big words, everything else, and just a headache to read. So a lot of those magazines ended up on the floor of the bathroom. And I spoke to some of the companies that did magazines across Canada. I said, why don't you put some Sudoku in? Why don't you put some crosswords? Why don't you put some jokes? Why don't you make it more interesting for the driver so when he picks them up, it's interesting and it's fun and it's got something more than trucks in it? Because drivers see trucks all day long. Why don't they see something in a magazine that's other than trucks and makes them laugh and gives them a bit of a lift each day? Nobody would do it. All of them said, who's going to pay for these pages? Who's going to pay to put NASCAR in? Who's going to pay to put a centerfold? Who's going to do this? And I decided we'll start our own magazine. We started Canadian Trucking Magazine. Then we expanded it through the US, through the Midwest. And then we expanded it to YouTube and a Facebook page. And when Facebook Live videos came out, wow, we're now 30,000 friends and family on Canadian Trucking Magazine. 30,000. But as I showed you, our snapshot of our analytics the other day, during 1 week, we reached 880,000 people. 880,000 people on our little page. And that's thanks to you sharing it out, inviting your friends and everything else. And the key thing about this page that we wanted to do was make sure everybody's always entertained. We have some jokes, we have some fun, and it's something to help pass the time and help the time go past. A lot of times we'll have fun, interesting videos. We'll try to find good food stuff. Pardon me?
And also there's no drama.
No drama. We're drama free because you get enough of that. You know, you get enough of it. You hit the odd bad shipper receiver. You know what, folks? When you get a bad shipper receiver, remember that we're the visitor there. We're getting the business from them so we can get paid and our company can get paid. So you know the old saying, suck it up, buttercup? I had that with shippers and receivers where they're in a bad mood and it's yup, or get out of here, sit in your truck till you're done. Yup, yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full. Because I'm only going to be there as long as they empty my wagon or they fill my wagon. And then I'm gone and I'm not going to see them again. So I'm willing to suck it up and take it because they're giving me the load for me to make the miles. And quite often, if you tone it down and stuff like that, it tones them down. And I had an incident a while ago, and I had receivers that were really upset at the way the load arrived. Not my fault. It's the way it was packed by the shippers. And I realized that, but they were pissed. And they said, go out and sit in your truck. And I said, yes, sir, and sorry. I'm sorry you have to deal with this. And I went out, I sat in the truck, and I just, let's wait for them to unload. But I guess they felt so bad by the way that instead of me saying, I didn't load this, or I didn't argue with them at all, I said, sorry, I apologize. I feel bad for you. That
Canadian.
that you're going to have to, hand bomb this and re-skid this. And went out, all their people came out with my paperwork, banged on my door, and I thought, what's this, a group lynching? And they said, we just all wanted to apologize for you by the way it was. It's just when we saw that load, we know that's the shipper. We know it's not you. And I said, nope, no problem. No, everybody has a hard day. I'm just happy you took it off my wagon. And they said, yep, no damage. Here it is, all signed, all received. I said, thank you very much. You guys have an awesome weekend, and done. And since then, I've gone back to that shipper or receiver many times, and big smile on their faces when they see me. Sometime I'm going to bring them some Tim Hortons. But you know what? It really helps And it's not worth us getting upset at a shipper receiver, because why should we get upset? Remember, no drama, right? No hate, no drama. Why should we get upset and spoil our day? We're only going to be there as long as it takes to load. And guess what? They've got the hammer. If they decide they want to sit us out in the parking lot for 8 hours waiting to load or unload, they can do that. And if they do, hey, just type into your dispatch, guess what? I'm getting paid by the hour now. I've been sitting here 2 hours or whatever. Does this company pay loading or unloading time? Because I'm sitting here. And maybe your fleet manager can get you some dollars. But don't ever fight with them, please. Somebody once told me, it's really hard to win an argument with an intelligent person, but guess what? It's impossible with a stupid person. Absolutely impossible. So there's not even sense even trying, you know. And if they've got the hammer, why even try to win the argument? Okay, go ahead, William.
Steve Keka says that'll work. Habib Rahman Nasari says hi. Steve Keka says thanks for the info. Habib Rahman Nasari says, where you my all friends? Mark Matthews watching.
Mark Matthew!
I think they were trying to say, how are you, all my friends?
Hey, should I invite Uncle Mark over for a tile sticking party?
Yeah.
Sure.
Because he's got the cutting stuff. And I got Corona, ice cold Corona in the fridge.
Well, if we can get it done fast, because then maybe tomorrow we can go ride Lily, who is the Phillies' mom.
The
wait
Phillies
a while.
mom.
Steve Keka says, great family time. Mike McCarran is watching. Sarah Dell says, thank you, Dave and family, for the entertainment most nights. Hector Murillo is watching. Amy McKenzie is watching. Alan Chevrier is watching. Doug Bose is watching.
Doug Bose, our Remax Realtor guy.
Tara Ward is watching.
Tara Ward! Hey Tara, how are you tonight? And where are you? Are you at that pub? You should tell us a little bit about the pub on the video tonight.
Craig Cowan says, I turn off the TV, just catch it.
Nice.
Tara Ward says, love ya.
Love you too, Tara.
Michael Cringe
Miko.
says, I think some shippers and receivers could use a lesson in appreciation.
Yes.
Steve Keka says, absolutely. Alan Chevrier says, have Dave and the kidlets greetings from
He's
Oregon.
probably trying to say hello.
Oregon, nice.
Craig Cowan says, it's not up to teach shippers and receivers anything. The drivers in their house, they're ruled.
Rules.
Their rules. Yeah, you're in somebody
Don't
else's
read
house.
it like it's written. Read it like it's supposed to be.
Yeah, you're in you're in their house. You play by their rules. Yeah, and it's a short period of time. That's what I keep telling everybody. Even if you get a bad shipper receiver, guess what? It's a short period of time, and most of the time you can win them over just by de-escalating the situation.
Or buying them chicken.
Or buying them chicken. We've done that. We've brought them buckets of chicken. Or as I say, Tim Hortons, it really does. It does work, folks. And yeah, we're at home right now, out on the middle of nowhere. And in the background, we've got our pictures of England and Paris and stuff like that. Those are prints that I got while I was in England and while I was Paris. At one time in my life, I traveled a lot overseas and picked up a lot of memos that are around the house. Caitlin's been talking about horsing around tonight. We've been talking about shippers, receivers, and we've been talking about, for those that just joined us, customs officers. Mostly the U.S. customs officers have really been getting hit hard by the fake news, hammering, saying they aren't qualified to be policemen, they're Nazis, they put children in cages. It really makes them feel bad. And as Caitlin can tell you, we had a long conversation with Customs the other day, U.S. Customs, and he says there's nothing worse than your kids coming home from school saying, the other kids in school say you're a Nazi. So when you're crossing, if you feel a little bit of tension there because they're under a lot of issues and stuff like that, make sure you turn around and say thank you for your service when they're done. We always do, right, Caitlin?
Yeah.
And they appreciate it. So the other thing we should talk about is, as you know, Caitlin's been down in the U.S. with me. William's been down in the U.S. John, we've tried to leave in the U.S., but nobody will take him. And something about the border crossing is it's an urban legend about the letter you need to cross with a child. It's an urban legend. It's not a law. It doesn't exist. I mean, what you do need is you do need a letter from your company. Either they will have a form or you make one up saying that your child or your children are allowed to be in the truck with you for a period of time, signed by a company officer, signed by both parents, and if the children can sign, signed by the children. If you want to, you could take your, let's say your better half isn't coming with you, who has custody of the children with you, you could take their driver's license or their passport, which is even better because it's got a number on it, and their signature on it, and you photocopy at the bottom of a page their passport. And then what you do is you get them to write out a letter or type out a letter, but writing it out is better in handwriting, saying, I give permission for Caitlin MacKenzie to go in the truck with David MacKenzie from July 1st to July 15th to travel to the United States and Canada. And then what you do is you, careful John, you're shaking the table, okay?
Sorry, I'm just gonna.
Stay still.
Scraping a bowl of horsehair.
I know, just, we'll get that later. So then what you do is you could get that notarized, but the fact that they got it signed and their passport is there with their signature, and then a phone number to contact them is there, it's still not required. It's an urban legend. But if they ask for it, you can give it to them, because if they have any other doubt, they're going to bring you in for a secondary, and they're going to separate you from the child, and they're going to ask the child, where's your other parent? Do you have permission to be with them? But just getting a letter written out with a signature and phone number isn't worth the paper it's written on, because anybody can write it. And with a phone number at the bottom, could be anybody's phone number. But you take and you get the passport, and you put the passport photocopied with a letter and signed on top, and make a couple of copies. So you got the original copy, your better half has a copy, and you got an extra copy in case you lose that copy. And you bring that along with your company waiver or authorization to have the children in the vehicle with you. Now, again, with children, you can, or with anybody, you can have two people in the truck, because you got your bunk, where with a proper seat belt or cargo net, you can have one person there, and in the passenger seat, you can have another person there. Now that also applies to adults with drivers. A lot of people see 3 drivers in a vehicle, and they say, oh my God, how can they have 3 drivers? Well, because they can have one in the bunk, one in the jump, and one in the drivers. But I just want to caution anybody who's running with somebody else with you, and you're actually going to run together.
It was Brian Mack's comment. He said, give Dave bunny ears.
Oh, okay. Remember that while the person's sitting in the bunk, they have to be on duty. So if you got another driver with you and they're not in the bunk, but they're sitting in the jump seat beside you, by law, they have to be on duty. If you pull into a scale and they pull up the e-log in that, and your team drivers, and they see your team driver who's sitting beside you, when it shows your team drivers in the bunk, boom, that's falsification of logs. And so if the driver's sitting in the jump seat, they're no longer off duty. The only time they're off duty is when they're in the bunk, whether they're in the sleeper berth sleeping or in the bunk reading. Anytime they get in the jump seat, I'm sorry, I know they could be just sitting there relaxing or shooting the air and they aren't driving the truck, but it's technically and legally they are on duty.
Steve Kaka says, you're right, Dave. Barry Berwick says, congratulations, Dave, on getting your $30,000. Alan Chevrier says, you got it. Craig Cowan says, Sever thunderstorm, watch on now in Winnipeg.
Severe.
Wow.
Severe. Not sever.
Wilbert is watching. Brian
Will.
Mack is watching. Craig Cowan says, thank you to all drivers for the service you provide us. Brian Mack says, is that the same in the us? Brian Mack says, give Dave bunny ears. Rob Cooley is watching. Brian Mack says, hey Rob, and thanks Kate. And Nancy Budding is watching, and Rob Cooley is watching.
Hey, Rob. Hey, Amy, how are you doing? Hey, Brian, is Jacob watching too? There's some good topics to talk about. Tomorrow night, we're going to talk about all the shows that are coming. I'm going to post them all up on the page tomorrow so you can see all the different shows that are going on and what's happening and everything else. We're going to be going on the road near the weekend. We're going to be adventuring at some more of your favorite restaurants and putting them up there so you know where they are, what the prices are. And we're also going to do, and we're going to turn around and we're going to take pictures of some of the menus. And we're going to post the menus too so you can see the prices. Angela MacKenzie's in the house, apparently. And what else? Is there any other comments there?
Just Brian Mack says, yes he is.
Hey Jacob, how are you doing? Anything else you can think of, Caitlin, about the horse or the tack or anything else? Or
My revenge tack.
Well, yeah, she can do it in. Well, I mean, I'm getting a breast collar soon, and if we end up getting little filly, then I'm getting a full halter from her. Did you just spill something on Riley?
Down my back.
Oh my God! Angie just walked through into the kitchen and bumped into Riley with a glass full of water and spilt it down his back.
Riley's my cousin. They don't know who that is.
She loves doing this all the time. Their mother almost never drinks. And one time when we had the whole family over here, she decided to drink. And they decided to pour for her more than her body and her mind could ever handle. Well, she felt so sick that in the middle of the night, she went up and she got herself a full glass.
No. I was not in the middle of the night. Let me correct this story. We had gone to bed and I was so hammered, and I never drink, so hammered that when I woke up in the morning, I was still so hammered and I was so thirsty. I needed water. And so when I got up, I was like, whoa, and everything was spinning, and I had to climb down the hallway wall. And so I was like, well, I'm not going to be getting up a lot for the next day. So I got the biggest glass in the house, which is huge, and I filled it to the top with like ice cold water so I could bring it to the side of the bed. And Dave was still sleeping, and he sleeps on the side of the bed closest to the door. And so when I come in, I am barely able to walk because I'm still so hammered. I'm carrying this huge glass, and I go to climb over him to get to my side of the bed, and I stumble and I spill the water on him, and it took like a split second for it to absorb through the comforter, and he woke up in like this from this dead sleep, just jumped up and oh my God, what just happened? Did you just pee on me? And I was like, I didn't pee on you. If I peed on you, it would have been warm, not cold. So he gets up, and I'm expecting to get totally yelled at. But he was like, you're lucky that I know where you are. You're lucky that I've been where you are. So he let me get comfortable in bed. He went and dried himself off. He changed the blanket. He refilled my water, put it beside me, climbed back into bed, and went to sleep, and I never heard another word about it.
Riley over there just like he made eye contact with me. He's like,
yeah. And I am like a cat with cold water. I do not like cold water. And there's nothing worse than being woken up with one of these big mugs. And I'm talking about, she's going to get the mug so that people can see
if this is
what
big,
it was.
That's huge. And this is
Yeah.
a big glass.
And she had it filled with
I don't
ice.
even know where that mug is, but
She-
it's bigger than
Yeah,
this.
it's bigger than this. It's bigger than
It's
this
bigger
one.
than that.
It's bigger than this, folks.
Stick your hand in
my
it, Caitlin.
face.
Caitlin, stick your
Well,
hand
she's
in
small
it.
got
hands,
it by
it's
her
not gonna do
face.
anything.
Yeah. So it's
Ow, you scratched me in the face. Oh,
so
crap.
so it's bigger than that, and it was filled with ice cold water. And by the way, folks, I just want to tell you, she doesn't have to crawl over me to get to her side of the bed. All she has to do is go around the bed and get into her side of the bed, which has a nightstand and that she could put the water on. But she went to crawl over me on my side, spilling an ice cold water on a sleeping Dave MacKenzie. And I woke up like a cat.
He did.
And
I've never seen him move that fast.
yeah, I move faster than I. The only time she's ever seen me move that fast is when the lineup at the buffet was building, and then I moved like you wouldn't believe. But the, you know,
Remember when we scare you and your reflexes, like when you scare him, his reflexes immediately go to punch you, but his arms are so short that he always ends up just going, and you're lucky at him to punch you. Like his reflexes are so fast. It's insane. Usually he'll be able to tell if it's us or not by the time he goes full. But there was one time where I scared him when he was walking down the stairs. I like jumped up from the corner and he spun around and he went to go punch me, but his arm wasn't short enough and it was like right close to
It
his
wasn't
No, his
short
arm-
enough.
His arm was short, it was too short, and his fist was like this far away from my face, and you could see the look of panic on his face because he thought he knocked me out.
I wish I had actually.
If you say that again, I'll show everybody your bad hair. I'll just rip off that hat. Never mind. You.
You know what, folks? I don't know why I had another set of kids. I don't know why. My first kids were so good.
Yeah,
They're
okay.
so awesome.
We've heard stories.
And then I have to have these kids. I got.
Hey, our children have never handcuffed a babysitter, okay?
That's true.
So your first set had a little bit of extra spunk in them.
That's true. I was still on the job with the first set. I had my rig hanging by the door, and we had a babysitter, and we left at about 7 o'clock, 7:30 to go for dinner and stuff like that. And they pulled out my handcuffs. I had 2 sets of handcuffs. I always carried 2 sets in my rig. And they went to the babysitter and asked the babysitter if they wanted to play a game. And the babysitter thought they were kidding. They handcuffed her hands behind her back, her ankles, and then put her on the living room floor. And there she stayed, crying and miserable, till I got home at about 11 o'clock at night and found her on the floor. She never babysat again. And the kids, oh my God, I knew something was wrong as soon as I turned the key in the lock, and I could hear all these little pitter-patter feet running down past the door towards their bedrooms. I thought, okay, are they running because they don't want me to catch them up in bed at this time of night? But I came in, and the little buggers were sitting there eating all the chips and stuff like that I left for the babysitter while they're watching TV. Well, this poor babysitter was handcuffed on the floor. And apparently, of course, this babysitter had been mean to them before, so they thought they had the right to handcuff her and leave her on the floor.
See,
But
this is why I'm not mean to the kids I babysit. I'm very nice to them. I play with them. I make them stuff. I bring them little treats and stuff if their parents say I can. You know?
and because the problem is, she is babysitting kids of police officers, so there's problem. There are handcuffs
There's
and
so many police officers I babysit
yeah,
for like 4
and
or 5
batons
families.
and batons around. So yeah, they could certainly.
Well, they're not laying around. They're locked up.
Yeah,
But like,
ours aren't. I mean,
what?
I mean,
point
yeah,
being
yeah,
is-
ours
I
are
can't
locked
say
up.
anything.
The
Yeah,
point being is our children, your second set might be stinkers, but they're not as big as stinkers as your first set.
yeah.
But those stinkers all grew up to be pretty wicked people.
I
Yes.
could be stealing police cars, David.
No, wrong name. I don't say
But
name.
we won't talk about that.
Oh,
Yep.
yeah, it's that
Yeah.
one.
What?
Yeah.
He got it.
Right.
That's a story for when they're older and they want to tell the story. Oh, the freezer's open, Nanu. So, so in any case, do we have any questions or anything?
No questions, just people laughing at the story of water being spilt on you, and about
Wait, Steve Kaga says, "You're a good girl, Caitlin. Certainly wouldn't want to cross the police officer."
yep.
Excellent. Well, everybody, hopefully we gave you a little bit of humor tonight. There's a couple of funny stories that we shared with you here at our kitchen table tonight. We're happy and so proud to have you at our kitchen table tonight. And you know why, guys? Do you know why, Caitlin, we're happy that they're here at our kitchen table tonight?
Because we'd rather hear from you.
He asked me, excuse me,
I'm the new
because
careful.
we'd
Caitlin.
rather hear from you than about you.
That's for sure. So be safe out there. We'll talk to you more tomorrow. Tomorrow is over the hump day. As Bill Clinton used to say during his presidency, every day was hump day for him. Oh, I hear Monica Lewinsky was going to vote for Clinton, but couldn't get the bad taste out of her mouth. Oh,
Hey.
oh that was terrible. What? You're going to say what? Okay. Okay, so before we end. Okay, so folks, that's about it for tonight. We're going to wrap it up. We're going to have more stuff tomorrow, and we're going to hopefully entertain you with a really great trip and stuff like that in the next little bit. And John just wants to say,
Stay safe out there and keep on trucking.